Hey guys. So we got the Protestant Reformation that we're going to talk about. And so you guys should have like a graphic organizer that looks like this. And so just as I'm going through this, just go ahead and fill this out. I'm not going to go over the Protestant Reformation too much when we come back to school, but hopefully I can answer any questions if you guys do have any. Okay, so first things first is let's talk about what in the world the Protestant Reformation actually means. So when you are looking at the term Protestant Reformation, look at just the word protest, which is in Protestant, which means to object. And then in Reformation, you have reform, which means to bring change. So what this whole period is about is to object to what the Catholic Church is doing and to bring change to the people in Europe. All right. So we've got the causes over here. Let me move this so we can see. Come on, stupid thing, move. There we go. So we got the causes of the Protestant Reformation. So let's kind of like go back in time a little bit. So you're looking at the church, you're looking at the Catholic Church, how much influence that they have on people, on people's lives, on, the government, all of that. So during the Middle Ages, you pretty much have the church that is in control of everything. And they're very, very corrupt, meaning they are, just taxing people a whole lot and just high tithing and just trying to get money out of people. Now, I'm not saying that the Catholic Church was horrible, but just things that they were doing at that point in time was not okay. So one of the other things that they're going to do is they're going to collect indulgences. And indulgences are basically like when you die, Catholics believe that you're going to go to this little place called purgatory before you go to hell or go to heaven. And so what you can do is you can buy yourself out of purgatory and basically buy your way into heaven. Okay. And so the church officials would say just, give this much money to the church and, it will wipe away some of your sins and whatnot. And whether you believe in, purgatory or not, people would just buy into this and they would just go, oh my gosh, okay, here's all this money. Well, once the Catholic Church realized that they could do that, then they just started doing it more and more and more. And so they were just very, very corrupt. And a lot of people are like, what is going on? How is this fair? Because it's going to benefit a certain social class, the wealthy. Okay. The peasants and the lower classes are sitting here going I don't have money to give to the Catholic Church because I'm just trying to survive at this point. And so it really created that division between the rich and the poor at that point. Okay. Also, things that are going to help cause the Protestant Reformation is new technology. The printing press is going to be huge during this time because everything before the printing press was handwritten, or they would, even in Japan, they had these little wood blocks that they would kind of create. And that was the first kind of printing press they had. But when Gutenberg creates the new printing press, now books and pamphlets and, things and essays can be reproduced at a very fast rate. And so when they're not handwritten and, think about it, when they're handwritten, there's less of them, therefore it's more expensive. So who's this going to benefit again? The wealthy. Okay. Now this printing press is printing, Bibles, printing pamphlets, printing essays, printing books at a rapid rate. And so now you have more of them. And so they're cheaper. So now the lower classes can get them. Also, one of the things when we talk about Martin Luther is he is all about making the Bible in different languages. And so you don't have to, just listen, to your priest, what they're saying. You can actually read it. We had the Great Schism, where at one point there's like numerous popes all like saying that they are the Pope. And so there's just a lot of confusion in the Catholic Church. You have increased nationalism in all these different countries, and also the Black Death. Okay. Even though some people believed that, the Black Death strengthened people's belief in the church, some people also blamed the church. Like, you did something wrong, we did something wrong for this to happen. Okay, so there are all the different causes of the Protestant Reformation. Okay, let's hopefully go on to, is it not going to go? Oh, it all just decided to come at once. Okay. So let's first talk about Martin Luther. All right. Martin Luther, he basically like changed the road of the church. Okay. He's going to completely change the Catholic Church. So he didn't really like the wealth and the power of the church. He thought that they were, like I was saying, being corrupt. He's creating this division between all of the people, especially the rich and the poor, and just believed that the church was not like the best thing, on the planet. He believed in, the church, and he believed in faith, but at the same time, he's like, you're not going to just make all my decisions. I'm allowed to kind of think for myself as well. And so one of the things that he believed, kind of bringing in that idea of faith, he believed that faith, not how much money you're going to give to the people, not how, how you're helping these people, or, what are you giving to the church, is what gave you salvation. So your belief in your religion and how devoted you are to that religion is what is going to give you your salvation. He 100% disagreed with the indulgences that the Catholic Church created. He didn't believe that, that's how you should get to heaven or like get out of purgatory. And so he basically comes up with all these ideas, and he's like, oh my gosh, like I have to like share all these grievances with everybody. So he creates the 95 Theses. And basically this is just a list of all the things that he feels is wrong with the Catholic Church. And he goes and he just nails it onto a church door for everybody to see. Well, then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my gosh, like this guy is so right. Like, why do I have to, just listen to this one person, in order to reach my salvation? Why can't I learn these things on my own? Why can't I interpret things differently? And so it's going to really kind of change the path of the Catholic Church. One thing I was just saying with the new technology, but he was all about translating the Bible into different languages. And so the first one is into German, because when you have a printing press and you are mass producing a German Bible, for the German people, this is really going to help spread and get the Bible into more people's hands. And because of that, now people really want to like learn what it says. And so they're going to become more educated. It's going to help the literacy rate. And now people have their own Bible, so they don't always have to just listen to the church officials or listen to the priests or whatever. Like, they can now look at the Bible and start interpreting these stories in their own way and kind of like mold them to what they need in their life at that point. And so he was all about that. You don't need the church for your salvation. You can do it on yourself. You can have that connection with God without having somebody just tell you what to do. And so it really gave kind of this freedom for people to start thinking for themselves. Like, this huge event with Martin Luther is going to lead to the Enlightenment, lead to the fall of absolute monarchies, lead to, countries establishing constitutions. Like, this event, this piece of paper that Martin Luther nailed onto a church door is just going to set the whole world and whole history in motion to become more modern. So what he does is he creates Protestantism. And Protestantism is basically like taking the Catholic Church and just kind of tweaking it a little bit. He is saying that the Pope, we don't need to like have the Pope to tell us, what to do or like save us from our sins. It's God that, we're supposed to be getting this from. And he's really wanting to create that connection with like you and God versus like you and a Pope. And so he was just really all about like finding it for yourself. And so there's a lot less emphasis on rituals and sacraments and like those like little minute traditions of things that you have to do. And out of Protestantism, you have Lutheranism, which is Martin Luther's sect of Protestantism. And then you have Calvinism, which is John Calvin's sect of Protestantism. All right, so John Calvin, okay, this is what you kind of call like the formal Protestantism, where Martin Luther was more like kind of about like finding things on your own and kind of interpreting things on your own. John Calvin was very much like, no, we're going to follow the Bible like exactly what it says. And there's only kind of like one interpretation of things. And so he was very by the book, where Martin Luther was a little bit more fluid with the Bible. And so these formal Protestantism or Protestants are going to be the Huguenots in France. And you are probably going to hear about them in your textbook, and also the Puritans in England. And the Puritans, they're also going to come over to the United States or to the Americas as well. So things that are going to go on with the Puritans in England. So regarded the Church of England under Elizabeth incomplete and wanted reform. So they basically, when Elizabeth takes power, and Elizabeth is the daughter of Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII. Remember, she is Protestant, and she's the one that, and we'll talk about her in just a second, but she's going to be the one that has more like religious toleration and really to unify the people. And the Puritans are going to see this and they're like, no. Like, we have to like be strict with this. There is no like, religious toleration. There's like, you are Protestant. And so really wanted to kind of just like eliminate the people that were more fluid and that just adapted things a little bit more. They wanted to really purify things and really kind of be by the book. And so John Calvin also believed that in predestination, and predestination is basically like before you're born, it's already chosen like whether you're going to go to heaven or hell. And then you're going to spend your life proving that you should be going to heaven. And so, it's one of those things like people would, start to go like, well, why should I even try? If I'm going to heaven, like, why am I going to spend my life trying? And the whole idea is like, you want to prove that you're worthy. So you have Martin Luther kind of starts this Protestantism a little bit more fluid, a little bit more like figure it out on your own. And John Calvin is a very like formal by the book guy. Okay, so that's the two sects of Protestantism. Now let's talk about Henry VIII. I talked a little bit about Henry VIII in class today, but just to give you guys a little bit of kind of background, Henry VIII is a king of England, and at that point, England was Catholic, and he married Catherine of Aragon, and he has a daughter named Mary with Catherine of Aragon. Now, Catherine of Aragon, she gets older. She tries to have more kids. It doesn't happen. She has a few miscarriages, and she's unable to, produce an heir to the throne. And so Henry VIII is kind of getting a little bit irritated with this, and he really wants to obviously have an heir to the throne, because if he doesn't, like, who's going to take power? And so he meets Anne Boleyn, and Anne Boleyn was one of Catherine of Aragon's kind of like handmaids, like she would help her out and whatnot. Well, Henry VIII ended up having an affair with her, and she became his mistress, and then he fell in love with her. And so he wanted to divorce Catherine of Aragon. And so he goes to the Pope and he says, hey, my Catherine can't produce a son, and I need an heir to the throne. Can I please divorce her so I can marry Anne Boleyn? And so Anne Boleyn, like, the Pope says no. And so Henry VIII goes, fine, like, I'm just going to, break free from the Catholic Church, and I'm going to create my own church called the Church of England, which is a Protestant church. And so Anne Boleyn, they do have a daughter. Her name's Elizabeth. She'll end up being Queen Elizabeth. And basically what ends up happening is Anne Boleyn also tries to have a son, can't have a son, has a few miscarriages herself. And then there is, there's talk of her having an affair, trying to, get pregnant and whatnot with a son. And so she was actually put on trial for adultery and treason. And so she is beheaded. After her, and so we'll come back to Elizabeth in just a second, but after her, he marries Jane Seymour, and Jane Seymour is the love of his life. She is just amazing, and they have a son together, and of course, Henry is all excited. So they have Henry VI and Jane Seymour, and Edward and Henry. They're, again, still all Protestant. So right now we have Mary, the first daughter, Mary. She's Catholic, very Catholic. And then there's Anne Boleyn with her daughter Elizabeth, who's Protestant. And then we have Jane Seymour, who has a son, Edward VI, and he's Protestant. And then Jane Seymour dies. And Henry is heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. He loved Jane, and they were not married for very long, just a few years. And then he's going to go on to have a few more wives, and they're beheaded and divorced and all that kind of stuff. When Henry dies, what's going to happen is you are going to have Edward VI is going to take the throne first. He dies. Sucks to be him. Then you have Mary, the first daughter, the daughter of Catherine of Aragon. She takes the throne, but the problem is she's Catholic. She's very Catholic. Okay. And so she gets the nickname Bloody Mary because she is now forcing Protestants to convert, or they're going to die. And so she, gets this ruthless name of Bloody Mary. Well, she ends up getting jailed. Then you have a guy named Philip II that's in power for a little bit. Doesn't work out. He dies. Then we've got Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth. She's the one that you always hear about. She's the one, like, you see pictures of her, and she has like the big, like, doily thing, like, sticking out her little collar, and she's Protestant. And the thing about her, she's very, very religiously tolerant. And right now, like, England is in chaos. Like, everything is horrible at this time. And so what she's going to do, she's really going to unify things and stabilize things. And she's religiously tolerant. And so people are able to, freely be Catholic or Protestant, whatever they want. Now, she rules on her own. She never gets married. She gets the nickname of Virgin Queen. She's amazing. And, she just kind of brings England into the light, really creates a big empire and starts creating an amazing navy and takes down the Spanish Armada and, like, all these amazing things. So Elizabeth is awesome. So that's kind of what's going on in England right now. And then you can do it. There we go. Oh, sorry, I didn't even realize I had this. So Elizabeth, there we go. Let me make sure there's nothing else that I needed. She was allowed to come back to court. Okay, yes. Defeats the Spanish Armada. So yeah, I think I already said this. Extremely Spartan political science. That was awesome. Okay, so that is this part of it. Okay, and then I'm going to make a second video. That's the next slide. So hopefully you guys don't have any questions. And if you do have any questions, just email me. All right, now I got to find the stop button because I don't know where it is. Maybe it's under here. I don't see it. I have no idea. Let's see if I can just stop it somehow. I have no clue. Ah, there it is. I see it. There we go. All right, you guys, have a good one.